Is Marjorie Flowers nearby? Okay. We have a visitor who's traveled all the way from Labrador. Now, some of you don't know your geography and don't realize where Labrador is. So if you go up the coast from here and you go up Maine and you've got Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, Nova Scotia and everything, you keep on going north and keep on going, and then you get to Labrador. It's way far away. And she is from the Labrador Land Protectors, and she is going to be speaking to us today about a mega dam project there that is devastating, and that the indigenous and other people have opposed there, and that the government and corporations have been pushing through anyway. And I believe that she's even been arrested, as many people have, for their efforts to defend against this Muskrat Falls megadam project. And this megadam project has a local connection to us here in the area. And Marjorie Flowers, who is Inuit, is going to tell us about this. So please welcome her. She's come a very long distance.
Wow. There's more people here than in my province. Well, first of all, I guess I'd like to say thank you very much for the invite onto traditional Wampanoag territory. I hope I got that right. It's a real honor to be here. It was a long trip, and I dread the trip back. But it is certainly worth it, because I do have a message that I'd like to pass on to you as Indigenous people, because I am too Indigenous. I'm an Inuit woman from the north coast of Labrador, which is on the very eastern point of Canada. I'm a beneficiary of the youngest Inuit land claims in Canada, which was just signed off in 2005. Now, the Muskrat Falls project is slightly outside of the claim area, but I grew up in the claim area, and my family's still in the claim area, and will be drastically affected by the negative changes that will happen as a result of this dam. You're going to have to bear with me. I'm not used to speaking to this many people. Yeah, my family is Inuit. My mother is 100% Inuit, and my father is about 30% Inuit. And we talk in percentages because of the recent land claims. Everyone had to prove their ancestry. So that's the numbers relating to my ancestry. Labrador has had and has archaeological proof of Inuit people in this area for the last 6,000 years. And we have faced a lot of the same issues that I just heard talked about here, with the onslaught of John Cabot and the destruction of our land, the rape of the resources, the killing of the people, the killing of the Inuit people. So it's very, very similar to what I hear here. Now, at the same time, I'd like to say that Labrador has 3 distinct Aboriginal groups, one of them being Inuit, which is mostly on the north coast of Labrador, and one of them is Innu, which the Muskrat Falls Dam is being built on their proposed land claim. It's not a settled land claim, but it is in the works. Then we have another southern Inuit group another southern Inuit Aboriginal group in southern Labrador. So there is a lot of politics around the dam. There's a lot of dissension within groups. It's been a horrible process for that Nalcor Dam, that provincial government, because the Nalcor corporation is a crown corporation of the province. And it's just been one atrocity after another leading up to the building of this mega dam, which will send out 824 megawatts of power, which will come down into Plymouth. And I want to tell you that there are so many There are so many things that have happened as a result of this. One of them being when they fill that reservoir to 39 meters high, that will destroy our whole Churchill Valley, and all ecosystems in that will be destroyed. And this is traditional indigenous land where we've hunted and fished and picked berries and lived off that land for thousands of years. We have not been consulted properly. In fact, entire groups of people, the two of the three Aboriginal groups have been totally ignored in this process. So free, prior, and informed consent has not happened. We've been overlooked and ignored and pushed to the wayside, just as I've heard the lady talk about here. And it's very, very, very disturbing. I get really emotional when I talk about it, because it's the home of my people, where we've lived and we've survived. We've survived there. It may be a harsh, cold environment, but it's our home. It's my home. My grandmother lived there. My great grandparents lived there. So it's a really devastating thing that's been happening. The rape and plunder, I don't want to get into a lot of detail about that, but Labrador is a very rich place. It's full of resources. It only has a very small population. We only have about 30,000 people in total in that big geographical area. And most of the population, of course, lives in the southern part of the province around the city of St. John's. So, that's the more urbanized area. And our area is, very few people and very, very much ignored. But we have the resources there. And it started with the fishery. Our cod fishery was completely raped and plundered until there's no codfish anymore. And a moratorium has settled on the place, and we can't fish codfish anymore. And Inuit are sea people. We're not inland people, we're sea people. We depend on the sea. Just as people here, I would assume, in Massachusetts, on the coast of Massachusetts. So there's been so much destruction of the fishery, of the forests. Our forests have been taken out and sold on the island and processed in a I'm losing my words. Anyway, it's processed in pulp and paper mills on the island to service the people there on the island portion of the province, and we have never ever benefited from that resource. And now the nickel mines are started. There's supposed to be an IBA in place, which is the Impacts and Benefits Agreement, whereby the Aboriginal people are supposed to get first priority. That's overlooked. So we don't, even though everything's pretty on paper, that it's never respected and honored. It's never respected and honored. And this is the same with the Muskrat Falls project. The company has come in. They've, like I said, they've ignored the people. They've ignored our whole groups of people. And I was going to talk about the methyl mercury issue. Sorry. Once the reservoir is completely full at 39 meters, because the province has flatly refused to clear the vegetation and the soil out of that reservoir, there will be a buildup of methyl mercury. And I don't know the mechanics of that process, but I know what effects it has. And it's a neurotoxin that gets into the food chain and accumulates up higher and higher until it reaches me, as a person who eats a lot of salmon and seal, will be accumulating 1,500 times more methyl mercury than I would normally eat because there is a certain amount of methyl mercury that does accumulate in the systems, in the ecosystems, naturally. But there will be an inordinate amount of methyl mercury buildup that will cause me to lose my food. I won't be able to eat the traditional food that I've lived on all my life and still continue to live on. And that's an atrocity that our government has ignored completely. In addition to that, the dam has been built on a piece of land that's actually, the foundation is quick clay or marine clay. Glacial marine clay is the scientific name for it. And once under pressure of water and movement, it can just flood out. Anybody want to see that? Google the Risa Dam failure on YouTube, and you'll see how that happens. Anybody downstream will automatically go underwater. There's no chance for anybody to be evacuated, and there's no evacuation plan anyway. The government has refused to put an evacuation plan in place. So the lives of our people are in dire danger. Everybody knows that, but the governments, our representatives in the provincial government, at the federal level, they're completely ignoring what we're saying. And we've been struggling for the last 5 years. I've been involved for the last 5 years, but there's other people that have been involved longer. To try to reach the government to ask them to at least do a study of the North Spur to confirm to us and give us some reassurance that this is not going to break. They refuse to do that. And it's because we have on our side the world-renowned expert on quick clay, who tells us that it's not if it breaks, it's when it will break. So everybody, and this is the truth. I have friends and relatives who live in the lower valley and in a little place called Mud Lake just outside of Goose Bay that sleep with life jackets under their beds because they're so terrified, and they know what's going to happen. Although that reservoir is not completely full yet, it's up at 21 meters right now. But production or operation will start by next year, so that by that time the reservoir will be completely full. And it'll be 41 square kilometers of water on the surface, and a complete destruction of the lower Churchill Valley. There's my sign back there, the mega damage sign. And I rarely talk about the financial part of this project, because in my mind, the financial part is not the biggest issue. The biggest issue is the threat to my life, our lives, and our culture and our food chain that we've depended on for so long. That's what matters. But the project was slated at $6.5 billion. That was the original estimates. It is now ballooned up to $14 billion to send power out of Labrador. And by the way, Labrador will not benefit from one single light bulb from that project. And that has been said publicly. We are nothing more than rats that they want to extinguish. They'd all be happy if we just packed our bags and left, and then they wouldn't have to worry about people like me bitching and complaining. But I mean, it's a real threat, and it's real life. And I just hope that I made sense, and I do want to thank the Megadam, Northeastern Megadam Coalition, or I think I got that name right, for inviting me down and, to hear our message and to pass the message along, because we need people here in the northeastern United States to hear this, because it's real. It's real, and I want to garner as much support as I can from people here to put a stop to this project. Even though it's 95% complete, I still hold my heart that this project can be stopped. One more final thing before I stop, and that is anybody that would like to see, because there's been so much controversy about this dam, financially, environmentally, economically, the whole 9 yards. There's now a Muskrat Falls inquiry happening, and that's where a judge has been commissioned, and 25 lawyers are now on the case to examine, to do a forensic audit of the project. And you can go on muskratfallsinquiry.com, and you'll see what's being exposed. If you want to see corporate greed and collusion and just outright crime. It's criminal what's happening. You can go on there and see what they're doing with regards to the financial piece, with regards to the lack of concern for the people, everything. So once again, I'd like to thank you for listening to me. And I'm freezing too, even though I'm an Eskimo.